Okay, we are on topic 2, which is organisms reproduce. Please make sure you have your name on the top of this paper and also on any of the papers that you work on today. Sorry. So all organisms must reproduce. So in order for organisms to be successful, it means that the species has to continue to be present long after the other individuals have died. Otherwise, they're not considered to be successful. So this means that there must be offspring and grand offspring, et cetera, et cetera. So some examples of that would be cilantro, which is an herb, baby goldfish, and then those are some baby alligators. So there are different reproductive strategies that help this to happen. All organisms have strategies to have reproductive success. We will discuss many of these. It takes energy to reproduce, create seeds or eggs, nurture young. These strategies that have evolved create the greatest number of offspring which survive. This will always be about the species, not the individual. For example, in a pride of lions, only one lioness reproduces. The pride is successful because they help raise the young. So there's two different types of reproduction, asexual and sexual. The prefix a means not. So underline the prefix a and write equals not. Sexual reproduction means to have two individuals contribute to the genetic information of the offspring. So it's a male and a female in sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there's only one individual that contributes the genetic material. So that means in asexual reproduction, the offspring is 100% like the original or the adult that gave the genetic information. So what are some advantages and disadvantages? Think about that. Write down what you think. So some things you might write. So for an asexual reproduction, an advantage is that they don't have to find a mate. In sexual reproduction, an advantage would be that the offspring is a combination of both the parents, which genetically is actually better because clones aren't always the best situation. Like for instance, if you were a farmer and your plants are 100% the same genetic information and there's a fungus that attacks your plants, whatever it is that you're growing, say they're eggplants, and it wipes out 100% of your eggplant population, that wouldn't be a good thing. But if you had genetically varied plants, some of them might be resistant to that fungus and you'll be better off. In asexual reproduction, a piece of the parent becomes a new individual. There is no variation, meaning the offspring is 100% like the parent. The DNA of the parent and the young are going to be exactly the same. Actually, it's more accurate to say they are identical or clones of each other. These are marine sponges. So this is a sea sponge. This is what they look like. Each tube is an identical sponge or individual sponge, I should say. So these are all different sponges. Each one is an individual, but they're genetically identical. Why don't the tubes all look alike? Well, that has to be related to the way that they were nurtured. So they've been exposed to different environments or maybe some are younger than others. And so the older they are, maybe the larger the opening is, or the way that the water has moved them is going to contribute the way that they look. Okay, turn your page. Seedless plants are all clones. So farmers use asexual reproduction to get more of a high-producing plant. All new individuals of seedless plants are from the same type of asexual reproduction. Bananas do not have functional seeds, and therefore they need to be cloned. The disadvantage of asexual reproduction, you might want to star this, is that the greatest issue of asexual reproduction is there's no genetic variation. So that's what I was talking about earlier. If a disease strikes the crop, they would either all survive or all die. Variation between individuals is good for the species. The population is healthier because there is variation. This whole banana crop has DNA that's identical to each other. Okay, here are some types of asexual reproduction. Single-celled organisms can divide into two new individuals. This is called binary fission. Okay, there's regeneration. Some animals and most plants can grow a new individual from the part that has broken off. This is called regeneration. This is a planaria here, and this is a starfish, also called a sea star. They can grow into a new individual from almost any piece of their body. Science in action. This is a real life problem. People and starfish eat clams. One group of clam diggers were frustrated at the amount of empty clamshells that they found, so they decided to catch all the starfish and kill them. They chopped up all the starfish into pieces and threw the dead starfish back into the sea. Why was this a terrible mistake? And probably be because each of the pieces, and you might want to write this down, grew into a new starfish. They were actually making the starfish reproduce. All right. Budding is a new individual sprouting from the parent. The baby hydra, okay, this is the baby right here, will live on their own. So they have the parent, the baby grows off the parent, it's called a bud, breaks off and grows into a new one. Coral, which is right here, that's how they also grow. Yes, they are clones. There's also something called vegetative propagation. Most plants can create a new individual from any body part. This is called vegetative propagation. So if you look closely, each new leaflet becomes a new plant. Vegetative means root, stem, or leaf. Propagation means to increase in numbers. A dead yucca trunk sprouted from new yucca plants. The plant on the right lives in the rainforest. Each offspring has roots and will fall off of the parent, ready for the new homes. Vegetative propagation gives a high likelihood for survival of the offspring. All right, let's answer question 12. In sexual reproduction, is it no DNA is passed to the offspring? There's one parent, there's two parents. The offspring is genetically different. The answer is B. Please circle it. Reproductive success is important for the individual, the local group, or the species. The answer is C, the species. Obtaining new individuals of a seedless plant requires asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, great variation of DNA, or two parents. The answer is A. The organism in this picture is dying, budding, growing out of control, sexually reproducing. The answer to 15 is B, budding. Okay, look at the strawberry plant. It's a result of A, vegetative propagation. All right, now let's go real quick through sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction requires DNA from two parents. The DNA is blended in the offspring and there is genetic variation. This is called fertilization. Fertilization is the union of sex cells. In animals, the sperm and egg join. In plants, the pollen and ovule join. During fertilization, the nuclei of the sperm and egg combine. It is critical that the new cell has the proper amount of chromosomes. So if an organism has 20 chromosomes, the fertilized egg must have 20 chromosomes. So how many chromosomes must the sperm and egg have? You're going to write down 10. In mitosis, the new cells have the same number of organisms and were individual to the parent cell. In meiosis, a complete individual is formed by two individuals coming together. Those sex cells have to have the chromosome number reduced by half. This kind of division is called meiosis. Okay, so we have specialized cells called primary cells, that's right up here, undergo meiosis to form sperm, egg, pollen, or ovule. Essentially, the primary sex cell undergoes mitosis, but does not go back into interphase. So it goes through one set of mitosis, does not go back to interphase, and then divides again. So the DNA does not replicate after the second division. So each of the cells that they result with have half the chromosomes as the parent cell. So here you can see 4 pollen cells, which have formed from a single primary sex cell. Okay, and sometimes during meiosis, chromosomes will trade sections. And in this diagram, you can see that the daughter cells have DNA that are somewhat different from the parent cells. This creates variation.